It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NFL.
The NFL transaction wire had Aaron Donald working out with the Rams today, which I guess...
Did it come across as a tryout?
It did come across as
Best
a tryout.
that we've ever had.
Okay. You think you could make the team?
Phenomenal.
I think he could make the
The
team.
kid's got a shot.
Yeah, no, that was honestly our way of being able to get a workout with him within the parameters of what's necessary. But Gift Smith said it's the greatest tryout he's ever had.
Rams coach Sean McVay on Aaron Donald's tryout with the Rams. Seems like it's a done deal. They haven't announced it. It seems inevitable. When will they bring him back? Will he be here for the start of the season? Going to bring him back part way through the season. Older guy. Want him for the playoffs. I guess I wouldn't be surprised by just about anything they figure out there. But does it feel like it's a done deal to you, PK?
Well, we've been talking about it for a while, so I assume, but, nothing is done until it just is done. And at this point, it's not done, and I'm done talking about it.
Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, 2-year, $44 million contract extension with the team. He gets $39 million guaranteed in the deal. Incentives could actually push it to $47 million. He was third in the NFL in rushing last year, over almost 1,600 yards. He has put up some massive numbers for the Colts, 4 1,000-yard seasons. He's a beast.
He's a Jersey boy. That's why he's good.
Yeah, there he is. Where do you go to school?
Wisconsin.
There you go. Okay. Kansas City Chiefs will once again be playing in Arrowhead Stadium. Officially, it had been GEHA Field, Geha Field at Arrowhead Stadium. Sponsorship deal 2021. That's coming to a close. And they're building a new dome over on the other side of town, across the state line. So Arrowhead Stadium is back. Ravens give Zay Flowers 4 years and $140 million with $108 million guaranteed.
Oh, yeah. They're giving him his flowers.
Ha 108 million of them. Every buck is a flower. Free agent wide receiver Stephon Diggs set to join the Commanders. Goes to Washington on a one-year deal for $12 million. Play opposite Terry McLaurin. Homecoming for Diggs. He was born in the area, so he's going home. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
The Protect College Sports Act still awaiting a full vote in the United States Senate. The hope is there'll be a vote taken this week or on the weekend by the Assembly before they take a month-long summer break. Everybody needs a deadline, PK, and apparently they're going to be right up against this one.
The U.S. Senate, no less.
That's exactly it.
Not the Canadian.
No.
Not the Mexican.
Not state senates. The United States Senate.
Yeah, that's big time.
How many amendments? I mean, you know what it is now,
I think
but
there's
what it'll be?
24, 25.
25 amendments?
The Constitution? Yeah.
I meant to this bill.
Oh.
How many changes? You think you know what it is, but do you really know what it is? Does it change at the last second?
Well, that's why I want them to employ you. Because you'll figure it out and I won't have to.
LSU completes a series of 2 meetings with top donors last night to outline what University President Wade Roos has billed as a first-of-its-kind revenue-generating proposal for athletics. The meetings were hosted by the governor at the governor's mansion, outlining the potential creation of an LSU-controlled limited liability corporation that could generate sustained revenues through targeted investments.
It's so typical. The guy gets into politics and he's the governor and now he has a mansion. I hate that. The common guy is out.
DJ and PK. The common guy has been out, yeah.
Hashtag NBA.
Dylan Brooks gets a contract for the Suns, 3 years, $73 million. Key part of the Suns' rotation last year, averaged a career-high 20 points per game. So Dylan Brooks, 3 years, $73 million.
Yeah, good for Dylan, man. It didn't matter in March that he got arrested for DUI. That don't matter.
Wait it out. Get the contract extension a few months later.
Yeah, they're excited to have him.
Denver Nuggets further entrenching themselves as the lone NBA team in the second apron with the signing of Lonnie Walker IV. He returns to the NBA after playing in Israel professionally this past season. So he's back. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
The pitch is swung on and driven high into right field. Is it deep enough? It's back. Adios! He does it again. Willier on another heater. And it's 2-0 Red Sox.
He is taking that pitch now over and over. Deep drive to right. Going back is Tucker. Get out the tape measure. Long gone. Pete Crow Armstrong. A 2-run homer. Cubs lead 5-1.
And Ohtani swings, lifts it deep to left field. That ball headed back to the wall. It is gone. A home run for Ohtani. His second of the ball game. Ohtani with a 2-run blast. And it's a 1-run ball game, 7-6.
That was the final score. Despite 2 home runs from Shohei Ohtani, the Dodgers come up short. A 5-run 8th inning made it close, but they fall to the Cubs 7-6. They get swept. Again, they got swept by the Red Sox. Now the Cubs have dropped 6 in a row. Pete Crow Armstrong. Home run, double, home run, 4 ribbies, 3 extra base hits. He had quite the game.
Yeah, they slid him over to DH. Didn't have to patrol center field. He come through. They sweep him. Dodgers now the 3rd best record in the National League. Not first, not second.
Boston Red Sox have won 30 of their last 35 games. They sit on a 7-game win streak. They shut out the Chicago White Sox 4-0. The Red Sox on fire, PK. 30-5.
Yeah, well, if you won 30 out of 35, it would be 30-5.
Rare for the Boston Red Sox. They're now 11 games over 500. Also, the Yankees beaten by the Cardinals. 3-1 the final score. The Cardinals almost back to 500, trying to get in that National League wildcard race, chasing the Diamondbacks and the Phillies, who have the last 2 spots. Diamondbacks 10-4 over the Padres. They've taken 2 out of 3, 4th game in that series coming up today.
Yeah, well, it's good news for the Padres because once a team scores 10 runs, they score 1 or 2 the next day.
Nice. You got to get a split and get out of there. Padres were hot, but it was bottom of the league. Playing a better team now. See if they can salvage the split today.
Yeah, well, maybe they can. Diamondbacks can win like 3-2 or something. But usually that happens if you have a big offensive night. The next game, it peters out a little bit. We'll see how it goes tonight.
Salt Lake Bees lose to Oklahoma City 10-6. Losses piling up. They're at the ballpark tonight, 6:35. Oh, that wasn't the final last night. Wasn't it like 12-2 last night? Yeah, 12-2 last night, I think. They got blown out. So that is now 9 straight losses, and they'll play again tonight at 6:35. DJ and PK.
Hashtag golf.
Wyndham Championship this week. Sedgefield Country Club, Greensboro, North Carolina. Getting underway today. Tony Finau, Patrick Fishburne, Zach Blair, and Kihei Kina as the locals in the field. Kihei, the name on the rise, PK. Big-time high school golfer, big-time college golfer, and now getting to the PGA Tour pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, he played at the Black Desert.
Mm-hmm. And getting some sponsor exemptions.
Yeah, he's still a youngster. Yeah, I talked to his high school coach about him when he was even younger. Told me to keep an eye on this kid. And so far, so good. The progression is being made.
Live Golf has funding from an outside investor that will keep the circuit alive beyond this season, according to league CEO Scott O'Neill. O'Neill did not identify the investor or how much money will be injected into Live, but they hope to finalize the terms, close the transaction next month. That's what's trending. Brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up, Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 previews. We'll talk football with him at 7:30. Kelly Papinga, BYU defensive coordinator, coming up at 9 o'clock. And it's an RSL Thursday. We got tickets to go to the game Saturday night. If you want to see RSL in Leagues Cup action, we'll give those away in the 8 o'clock hour. DJ and PK, the question of the day is next. Stay with us.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoe.
From top to bottom, this is the most talented team that Kalani Sitake's ever had at BYU. And that includes his first year when he had Taysom Hill and Jamal Williams. This is as good of a complete team. Now, I know there's some question marks at wide receiver. Totally get that. But I also look at it from the depth. They've got it. The quality, the high-end players, they've got it. I just think this team is absolutely loaded, and we're going to see it on display.
And the questions will get answered quickly. The receivers that you choose have to go out on the field, and they have to run their routes and catch balls, and they catch balls and make plays. You'll start to get to know them better. They'll become more than just a name on a page. And then on Utah's side, nationally, both teams ranked in the top 25. BYU considered a contender, and Utah a dark horse. You guys are in the conversation. Now it's just go do it.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
BYU coach is saying this is the fastest, most athletic team they have had. What does it mean for the Cougars this season?
I'm going to go Old Man Mara.
New York Giants on the? Oh, okay. Colts coach.
Yeah.
Playoffs? Aaron says, show me, don't tell me. Well, they're allowed to
have games first.
I know they're allowed to do interviews. He can't just like, I'm not answering your question. We haven't played a game yet. That wouldn't go over very well.
Right.
But I do get your frustration, Aaron. Oh, boy.
Why is there frustration?
Opening day hype frustrates people. Every team, every year.
No. It's not every year, every team. No, I disagree.
This quote comes from, we were talking to defensive coordinator Kelly Papinga. It started with you referencing conversations you had with him more than a decade ago when he left for Virginia and they found out how the other half lived. Like, you have what for facilities? You have what for money? You have what for support staff? Holy cow. BYU is an independence and they saw an ACC budget and we're like, wow. And so he was talking about how everything is different and in the NIL it's just accelerating, but he was talking facilities too. We were standing near the weight room.
Nutrition.
He pointed that out. And nutrition, sleep, science.
You have to have it all. Yeah.
He was just going down the list. And he says, and it's paying off. I think we have the biggest, strongest, fastest team here we've ever had.
A-Rod talked about it. Kalani talked about the speed during his, I think it was about 12, 13 minutes that he spoke. He mentioned it. I have no problem with that. And they have told us that the Big 12 was a game changer. Brian Santiago has said that repeatedly. Mm-hmm. And so what does that mean? It's got to mean several different things. And what it needs to mean in the most important area is acquisition of talent. Right? You need that. That is a necessity. You can have the grittiest, toughest guys in the world who are walk-ons, and that's great. But you also need top-end talent. You need it all. And in order to get it all, you've got to, when you bring the young man in and his family or whoever's with him, what you show him has to minimally at least look like the other stuff that the other folks are showing him at the other places. It has to.
All that's true. And that means that what BYU needs to do is take the step forward in their fourth year now. In their fourth and fifth year here, they need to take a step forward that the Utes took in the Pac-12 when they were just getting access to what was then Power 5 level money, television appearances, a schedule of opponents that tested people, access to bowls or playoffs that excite recruits. You got to cash in on all that. You got to upgrade everything. And the Utes in year 4 and year 5 were getting bigger, faster, stronger, and winning more games. Now, it's a little apples and oranges, Power 4, Power 5 area. BYU maybe made a little bit of the transition as an independence, and it was a little bit of a bridge.
Actually, I think the throws took over. The throws of independence.
Oh, the early bridge, the early pump, but then after a while, dog days.
Yeah.
Felt a little bit like August in baseball.
Yeah.
Dog days. When do we get to it? When do we get to it? Well, now they're getting to it.
Yeah, they needed to get out. They did what they did to go in at the time, and it was the right move. Clearly the right move. They couldn't stay in the mountain or the Mountain West. They had to do what they did, but it grew stale. In several reasons why Bronco left, but he was outspoken. This is not sustainable. He said it. As in classic Bronco manner, he'll tell you. You just got to pay attention to what he says. And at that point, when Kelly took off, they were in the throes of independence, and that had to end. And they thought it was going to end the next year. They got real close, but it didn't happen. And then we know when it happened, we're coming up on 4 years ago now. And so that has been the game changer that has allowed them to go after kids. And in conversations with A-Rod, Aaron Roderick, offensive coordinator, talking about how since he's been here recently, that nobody's ever said, no, don't go after this kid. We don't have a shot. Now they've got shots, and you're not going to land them all, obviously. And some kids aren't going to be interested in what BYU has to offer, and it's best that they're not interested in what BYU has to offer. But clearly, there's way more kids who are interested in what BYU has to offer now and are willing to come here and want to come here. And that has paid off in an increased level of talent. I mean, that's obvious when you look at these guys that they're bringing in. They normally didn't get those types of players, and now they are. And so for them to say this is basically only the third year of Kalani Sitake's reign, even though it's the 11th. Right, third or fourth, because they're in the Big 12 and recruiting changed, and then also, too, with the mission, so many kids go, so you have to give them an extra year or so compared to some of the other schools, certainly most of the schools in the country. So when you look at it, go fourth year, basically, since they've been in the Big 12, and I'm fine with that because they recruited to the Big 12, kids knowing they would go on missions, and when they came back, they'd be in the Big 12. Even though he's been there 11 years, you can argue this is, in a sense, the fourth year. And now's the time. The program has progressed. It's proceeded in an upward trend. And so then they tell you that. I don't see where that's frustrating. I actually think that is great because they're not saying it every year, and then they have a reason to say it now that you can trace back, and it makes sense.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't think there's any but. You gave me a but. I'm not going to tolerate a but.
There's no. Okay. Yak stepped away for a second to do something. He just walked back in front of the window, and that look on your face, like, what just happened? I was just gone for a second. Why can't you guys?
You can argue this is his fourth year, Kalani, and since they're in the conference, even though he's been there 11 years, and it makes sense that the program has advanced. And DJ says, well, yeah, and then I knew the butt is coming, and I'm not going to hear it.
Depending on how old Aaron is, let me click on this phone.
You will not qualify your statement with a butt.
Yeah, right, Aaron, so I went blah, 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 because I knew he was going to say butt.
Aaron's got to be 40. He might be, maybe he's pushing 50, whatever. So Aaron's been a fan for, 24 or 34 years, and this is the 24th or 34th time he's heard this.
That is not true.
Yes, it is.
It is not.
He's heard first day camp hype 24, 34 years. Your point is, yes, you have, but now it's different. There is a foundation that these quotes are being built on that makes sense, even if you heard it in 2018 or 2008
you did.
Or
when
98,
Bronco
whatever.
took over, I was a beat guy. I guarantee you his first year, this is the biggest, strongest team BYU's ever had. Fastest. He didn't say that.
But it's not just from the coaches. You hear hype about how good a team is going to be.
Well, the coaches are the ones that matter the most. What do I give a crap for Joe Fan, who's got some anonymous Twitter handle?
Depends on the coach and their style. You know, their coaches who downplay it. Lou Holtz and
we just
Nick
got
Saban
three.
will
I don't
downplay stuff.
who cares what they are? We're talking about BYU. You're talking about one guy who's dead and one guy who's out of coaching. Who gives a crap what they think? We're talking about Kalani Sitake and the two coordinators. All three of them said it, and you go back to Lou Holtz, who's been dead.
For 30 years, Aaron's been listening to this.
Can we live now rather than 30 years ago?
You bring your past with you, and you do it as much as anybody. That's why we hear about Jersey all the time.
Yeah, but not when it's related to sports.
Oh, come on. We're talking sports in here all the time, and you bring up Jersey all the time.
Because it's a joke.
Uh-huh. Nick says...
I don't use it to make points.
Being as they have never been an athletic team, it shouldn't be that hard to be the most athletic. Nick, downgrading BYU's athletic ability. That's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? I think
it's a bunch of white Mormon guys. Yeah. That's the whole point.
But they've obviously had athletic guys. They've sent a bunch of guys to the NFL.
We're talking to skill positions. They don't roll out receivers. They don't roll out running backs. They don't roll out DBs. That's what we're talking about. The black guys. Can we get to the point?
And we're
rather than beat around the bush because we might offend somebody because we mentioned race.
And we're also talking about you've had stars at the top, but have you had the depth to get through seasons, or do you get beat up because you don't have the second and third string guys? Yeah. You got 15, 20, 25 guys at the top of the roster.
That's
all. When you get down to 35 or 40, do you have it?
They say they do.
They say they do now.
So I'm supposed to not listen to them? I'm supposed to say, well, that's cliche. I have known, I literally covered all three of these guys as players. So that means I've known them for almost 30 years as your guy that you just quoted.
Brett Ciancia joins us now from Pick Six Previews. Brett, good morning.
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's a busy time of year here with Pick Six Previews. The 2026 magazine is rolling off the printing press, shipping across the country, and we have a lot to break down. So excited to be back on with you guys, talking some BYU, talking Big 12.
Yep. Utah and BYU fans are listening, and they are curious. Where do you believe they stack up? Obviously, new coordinator on the defensive side of the ball at BYU, and the Utes with Kyle Whittingham leaving. That's a major change. Morgan taking over. What do you think? Where do they stack up in the Big 12? Who are they? Who's right there with them?
Well, I think it's Texas Tech at the top. They're the defending champions, and I was surprised to see it at Big 12 Media Days. The coaches didn't pick Texas Tech to win it. Maybe that's some off-the-field politicking going on, but in terms of talented rosters, I think you got to start with Texas Tech. We all saw it last year, 11-1 in the regular season. All 11 wins were by double digits. And if you track against the spread kind of stuff, they were unbelievable there, 11-1. The markets couldn't catch up to them, how dominant they were. So very solid season last year. They bring a lot back. They reloaded again from the transfer portal, too, along that defensive line. That's the one question I've got. You send an all-time pass rush to the pros, all four guys drafted. But Joey McGuire claims he brought 4 new draft picks in. So we'll see if that's true along the defensive line. But really talented team. I have them number 1 in the conference, projected to go win it again. But then you've got the 2 Utah teams right there, 2-3. I've got them BYU second, Utah third, both in my top 25. And tell you what, guys, if you want an expanded playoff, you're going to basically get a playoff game there November 7th in Salt Lake City, because I think Utah is going to come in with a nice record, and same with BYU, and that could be for the spot against Texas Tech.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I would have gone with Texas Tech, too, in my mind, in our little unofficial polls that we do. They've done enough, and I saw Hammond go to Rice Eccles and look great as the quarterback. So, and now he's got I know he got injured and didn't get an opportunity to play that much, but he's got more experience in terms of knowledge, and I like him. So, in my mind, the question is, for the rest of the Big 12, and you've already brought up the 2 locals, is who is closing the gap, if they are, if any, and how much are they closing it? Because you've got to close that gap with Texas Tech, and obviously they've got the financial wherewithal to be able to do that. You know, we were told that last year BYU's NIL budget was akin to what Texas Tech paid that defensive line, meaning the defensive line for Texas Tech, got all the money that is BYU's entire NIL budget. So financially, it's going to be hard, and that was reaffirmed to us again this year when we were there in opening day of media availability and practice. So that's going to be hard. But do you think that any of these teams, and you've already mentioned a couple, so I assume you think maybe that BYU and Utah, but speak to that. How can these teams, are they closing the gap between them and what Texas Tech is doing?
Yeah, well, I think both the teams we talked about, BYU and Utah, they played them tough for the first half and then into the second half as well. I was down there in Lubbock for the first matchup last year, the Texas Tech BYU College Game Day game, and BYU was physical right there with them. There was a lot of red zone wins for them to keep the score in check, but there's a lot of work I think they have to do on the skill positions at receiver. That's one spot I have a question about with BYU, but in general, guys, it wasn't that loud of an offseason in terms of big transfer signings or huge recruiting classes, although it was a nice recruiting class. But, in terms of transfers, there wasn't too many headliners. But what stood out to me with BYU, which was impressive, was the retention piece of this, the bringing your returning starters back, keeping them in Provo. I talked to Coach Kalani Sitake, too, in the preseason for the research for my book, and he harped home on that, too. The player retention, the culture, all those buzzwords. But I think it was 12 guys, 12 BYU players that could have gone to the transfer portal. All 12 returned to Provo. I cover all 68 Power 4 teams. That's very rare to see. Usually you have a couple guys, if not a mass exodus at some places. So that was impressive. That speaks to the culture of BYU. You watch them play, the physicality is certainly there in the trenches, the front seven, the offensive line. That's just how BYU and Utah, to that degree, how those programs have been built. So if you want to close the gap, I think you find it with a second-year quarterback, Bear Bachmeier. You usually see a big gain from first year to second year as a Power 4 starter. Remember, he was thrown in as a true freshman with no spring ball. I mean, it was unbelievable that he was able to start with just a few weeks of practice. So I'd look for a big gain from Bachmeier. You get L.J. Martin back at running back, big offensive line. I like the linebacking core a lot. In fact, I've got them in my national top 15 in terms of units. Love the linebackers. You get Glasgow back, signed arguably the top linebacker in the country with Cade Ulave coming in. So there's a lot of pieces here to like. That's why I've got the number 2. That's why I've got them playing Tech again. And maybe third time's a charm, guys.
Yeah.
I'm curious who you think the fourth team might be and who might beat any of these three teams, because even one loss somewhere, one surprise might knock you out of that Big 12 title game as those three teams scramble for it. TCU plays all of them. Kansas State, maybe we should look at them getting in the title game because they don't play any of the three of them. Arizona's got their quarterback back. Houston's coming off a good season. They're in a talent-rich area. They did win a lot of close games last year. I'm just wondering how you analyze this next tier of teams and who might be in the mix with the other three.
Yeah, well, every year with the Preview Magazine, there's always seems to be one spot within one of the conferences where it's a log jam of teams, and it's really hard to pick. And this year in 2026, it was this exact spot, the middle of the Big 12, talking from 4th to maybe even 11th, that jam-packed part of the Big 12. All talented teams, all top 40 caliber, and all could push into the top 25 if a couple wins go their way. But I went TCU, and I think this is going against the curve here. I don't see anybody else with TCU this high. I went with them 4th in the conference, 25th nationally on the top 25 board. And what I like about them, it wasn't too much transfer activity. What it was, it's been high school recruiting. Now, if you take Texas and Oklahoma out of the old Big 12 standings because they're no longer in the league, if you look at current Big 12 teams, TCU is the number 1 high school recruiter in 23, in 24, and in 25. So they have this pipeline of high school talent that they've been recruiting, developing, retaining, and now, it might not be the most proven names out there. It's not the incoming All-American transfers, but they have a solid, talented roster. You look at their receiver core, ton of 4-stars there. The pass rush looks elite. And then we'll see about this quarterback, Jaden Craig. But if I had to pick a team to go 4th, I'm going TCU. And I think they play both BYU and Texas Tech. So that could be a little thorn in the sides there during the season. So look at TCU as a team. It'll be a tough challenge. From there, you can make the case for so many. Real quick, you've got Kansas State in a coaching transition season with Colin Klein coming home. Easiest schedule in the league, though. They miss all three. They miss Texas Tech, miss BYU, miss Utah. With Arizona, I love Fafita, the quarterback, but they lost their elite pass secondary on defense. All 4 guys were drafted, so I think you're going to see a step back from them. And Houston, this is a team we all differ on. I mean, they were strong last year, 10 wins. 7 games were 1-score wins, though. And I don't think that really tends to flip I think it tends to regress year to year. So too tight of margins for me to really call for a run back of a 10-win season. So there you got it. I got TCU 4th. But really, guys, November 7th, I've got it circled. I know everyone in your state on both sides of the rivalry have that date circled. And if you look at Utah's schedule, the way it plays out, it's very backloaded, meaning I think they're going to be 8-0, and I don't think it's a hot take that they should be 8-0 or at least 7-1 heading into that matchup with BYU. So that's going to have title stakes on the board and should be a ranked matchup and all those good things.
Yeah, you know your stuff, Brett. You're all over it. I can't disagree with anything that you've been saying. That's the way we forecasted, particularly with Utah. It does look like there's a decent chance, minimally, that they are 7-1 if you just look at the schedule and you look at the talent that they've got coming back. But that's the thing that I like about the Big 12. You know, the other conferences, particularly the two at the top, tend to be a little more predictable, and it's only been just, less than a handful of years that this conference in its existence with these teams, but we've had surprises since Utah's only been in, this is going into the 3rd season, obviously, with the Pac-12 schools, and it's been surprising to see teams each year, good or bad. Obviously the Devils got on top out of nowhere, and then people weren't picking BYU last year with the quarterback situation, and they still got to the final. So that's what makes this conference interesting, as opposed to, okay, who's Ohio State going to play in the Big Ten final? Is it going to be Indiana, Oregon, maybe Michigan? I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But for this conference, and maybe Texas Tech has established itself and it's no longer predictable, but it does seem like there could be 3 or 4 surprises, even as we follow this conference with everything we have, knowing that we still leave that open. And you just named 4 or 5 teams, at least for me, and get your thought on it. That's what I like about this conference, is that, we have these educated guesses, I guess, but we're not really sure. And it's more fun that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at recruiting rankings, a lot of the teams are in a similar, group of rankings there. They're bringing in similar talent. The transfer portal's really been the wild card move, because that's where teams can upgrade or downgrade almost instantly and come out of nowhere in shock. I mean, if you look at 2 examples this year, I didn't talk about them, but Arizona State, again, leveraged the portal. They might have as many as 17 transfer starters on their team. So your guess is as good as mine on how that's going to look. Mm-hmm. If that was a home run, all these players are hits, and that could be a playoff contending team. But if not, they could go 4-8. So teams like that, Oklahoma State, same deal. Their head coach brings up the entire offense from North Texas that led the country in passing and scoring. Right. So you think that offense is set. You're going to see old shootouts again from them. We'll see about the defense. But, yeah, I agree with you. I'm sitting here in Pennsylvania. I'm deep in Big Ten country. But when I watch the Big 12, I really enjoy it. I mean, you have so many different styles of play. I think it's really entertaining football. The lines are close. The games are always 1 score. They're late 4th quarter games. The fan passion is certainly there, and I don't think it gets enough credit, too. And, you always hear about the big ones like Ohio State and Penn State, but you watch a game that's in Provo or Salt Lake City, literally the camera is shaking on big plays. Like, you can feel the vibration here from your living room. So I have a lot of respect for the fans across the conference. You don't find that in the ACC. You don't see the camera shaking at Wake Forest or Boston College, if they even have cameras there. So I love this conference. I'm not just saying it because I'm on your show. I've been saying it all offseason for years. It's a very interesting, intriguing conference. That's why I went down to Lubbock last year. I had to go see it live. So I want to get out to more. I got to get out to Utah and see a game. But, it's a very entertaining brand of football.
Brett Ciancia joining us, Pick 6 previews. The conference games, especially the rivalry here, everybody's just on edge, at each other's throats and all that trash talk and all that kind of stuff. But here at the start of the season, with a lot of non-conference games, this has been a 1-bid league. And we followed the Pac-12 for years. It was always the knock on it. There was a 0-bid league. They were getting 0 teams into the 4-team playoff. Now the Big 12 is getting 1 into the 12-team playoff, and it looks like, the weak sister out of the Power 4. So the question is, can they win either enough total non-conference games that can't be ignored? Can they win a marquee games so they can't be ignored? It doesn't look like there are that many marquee games. Some of them, ASU's biting off a lot going to Texas A&M. That's a massive challenge. Oregon and Oklahoma State. Yikes. That 2 games into the rebuild with a new coach, you're playing the Ducks, so good luck with that. Obviously, BYU Notre Dame, a massive game. Can they clean up on enough of the Utah versus Arkansas where it's just overwhelming? I think the conference has 4 or 5 games against the ACC. I don't think you get a lot of TCU beats North Carolina. But if you win all those games, maybe it adds up to something. What do you think about the ability of the league in September to build a rep and get a second or third team, third seems crazy, into the playoffs?
Yeah, that goes a long way because, perception-wise or whatever metrics they look at, it looks like the SEC and the Big Ten, for whatever reason, they have a head start here. They're getting 2, 3, 4, even 5 the SEC last year teams into the bracket. So for the Big 12 and really the ACC, for that matter, to punch back and earn some more credibility, you got to win those non-conference games. And in BYU's case, you got a big one. You got Notre Dame. This is kind of put up or shut up for the conference, those kind of opportunities. And so Notre Dame's probably the most impressive non-conference game, and it happens to be on BYU's schedule. You mentioned a couple more. I think Baylor plays Auburn. UCF plays, I think, Pittsburgh. And, these are just Power 4 versus Power 4. You want to clean up as many as you can, because at the end of the day, that's all going to be used as firepower for your resume. But I think the best case is, this might sound crazy, but to get 2 teams in the conference, I think you need Tech to pretty much go 12-0. Go into that conference title game looking like a top 5 team in the country, and then have the number 2 team upset them in Dallas, because there you're granted the automatic bid for the team that pulled the upset. So like a BYU, a Utah, a TCU, that'd be an auto bid. And I think a 12-1 Texas Tech would still be a strong enough resume to get in there as a conference runner-up. So it reminds me a little bit of March Madness when you hear about those conference tournaments, the bid stealers, where a team that wouldn't have been in the bracket wins the conference and gets the auto bid. That's kind of, I think, the path for the Big 12 and really the ACC for that matter right now to ensure that you get 2 in the bracket, because we've seen the committee rule against very capable 2-loss teams from these leagues. I mean, BYU, an example last year, 2 losses, both were to Texas Tech. One was in the postseason, and they were held out of the bracket. Miami 2 years ago, similar deal. I think they went 10-2, had a nice resume. They were kept out. So if you lose a second game, I don't trust the committee to value the Big 12 and the ACC. You got to go win that conference auto bid.
Yeah, I think that's a fact. So I wouldn't trust them either. I'm wondering what you think. So much hype. Everything Deion Sanders does is big news, right? It just doesn't matter because of who he is and his ability as just a magnet for media attention. And last year, the health issue with him was extremely real. There's no question about it. At the same time, they had a crappy team. And so it was going into his 4th season, and he's had 2 crappy teams and 1 decent season. And so for now, it seems like the pressure's on. What do you make of that situation?
Yeah, well, every year is different with Colorado. And actually, in past years, I've written up their first draft of their team preview. And then after spring ball, 50 guys leave. I had to just delete the whole page and start over from scratch. It's like unbelievable, the player movement up there. Now, this time around, at least there was no second transfer window. So the players that came in the door in December and January, at least you're getting them to kickoff. So, maybe a little bit of player retention in a way for a couple extra months than usual for Colorado. But that said, it was another top 25 transfer class. That marks 4 straight for Colorado. Maybe they were able to retain them this time around, but they have too many questions for me to be considered a contender. Both lines of scrimmage look, they're question marks for me. I don't see any reason to pick them higher than towards the bottom of the conference. I like the quarterback with Lewis. I think that he makes some good throws. Maybe some questionable coaching last year. You saw clips out of media day that they weren't even watching film. Unbelievable to think that in 2026 that was the case, but who knows? So they do have some talented players here and there across the roster, receiver, quarterback, but as a complete starting 22 and then a 2 deep 44, I just don't see it. So until proven otherwise, I've got them down towards the bottom of the conference.
There are multiple teams that went deep into the transfer portal. You've mentioned Oklahoma State, new coach, brings a lot of guys. Iowa State's got a new coach, bringing a lot of guys from Washington State. Rich Rod is going full Deion deep into the transfer portal for his second year on the job at West Virginia. You mentioned Colorado and ASU as well. Are there any teams beyond Texas Tech? Are there any teams that went in the transfer portal where you think there's no way to know, but I got to keep my eye on them because I think there's a pretty good chance this team has come up big in the portal?
Yeah, I think Oklahoma State, you got to start there. This is the team that most of the staff and the players were at North Texas last year and put up top 5 passing numbers, top 5 scoring numbers. You got an NFL quarterback with Drew Mestemaker and bringing everybody with him, bringing his all-conference running back, his receivers, his linemen, and, of course, the scheme that got them there with Eric Morris. And I talked to Coach Morris. I asked him about the transition up from the AAC to the Big 12, and he kind of chuckled and said, hey, I was born in the Big 12. You know, he's got roots here. He's a Texas Tech alum and former coach, and his track record of building elite offenses is unmatched right now. Now we'll see how it translates up. But I love that offense a lot. I think it does translate 1-to-1. I think they're going to be a team that scores 30, 45 points a game. But can they stop anybody? So that's where I have my questions. Look for some old 2010s Big 12 shootouts there in Stillwater, again, like the old days. But, hey, I'll say this, most improved offense in America for sure. They were dead last. They're going to be one of the best this year and should be one of the most improved teams. 1-11, awful season last year. I think they make a bowl. So not a playoff contender, but certainly one of the most improved from 25 to 26.
All right, this bugs my radio partner, but I'm going to do it anyway. Since you're a Philly area guy, I'm born and raised in North Jersey. A lot of experience in South Jersey. So my Jersey Shore of choice is Ocean City. What's yours?
Right next door, Sea Isle City, New Jersey. Yeah, love it. Ocean City, you got Mac and Manco's Pizza.
Oh,
you got the boardwalk.
Here we go.
Yeah, the Music Pier.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful town, great family town. You got the Wonderland over there. So, yeah, that's a classic Jersey boardwalk talk. I'm one town south of you in Sea Isle. We've got more of a restaurant, maybe a bar scene. No boardwalk, unfortunately. I'd love to get one like that. But, hey, South Jersey Shore, man, the best spot on earth.
What is that? What is the food that's got the 2 different names depending on where you're from?
Pork roll or tailored ham?
Yeah. Lovely. Look at him.
This is awesome. I didn't expect this on Utah radio.
Nobody does.
That's why he does it. That's why he does it. The number of times we've broken down pork roll, I just can't. I don't even have words for it. I went to college to do this.
It's pork roll in South Jersey, Taylor ham in North Jersey. How many times I got to tell you?
About 500,000.
My sister went to Glassboro, which has now been renamed Rowan, but
sure.
I've got my brother, my best man at my wedding, grew up in West Deptford, is in the West Deptford High School Hall of Fame.
Wow.
So I got those roots, and I researched who you are, and you really know your stuff. I got to give you credit. So pump your magazine again, because if it's anything like what you've been saying on the radio, it is certainly worth the time and effort and money to get it.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, well, it's called Pick 6 Previews. It's available at pick6previews.com. We've got the digital copy, but also the hard copy this year, spiral bound. They're coming off the printing press, shipping them across the country. It's a one-man show. It's all me. I do all 68 Power 4 teams. Talking to head coaches, talking to coordinators, watching spring games. I've got my advanced numbers in the book, but putting it back into a readable format, the narrative, the X's and O's, really the storylines for the season. So, hey, a lot of transfer movement, all these teams. It's a good way to get caught up. Get excited for the season, bring it to the beach, the lake, the couch. But yeah, thanks guys for having me on, and maybe I'll send you a picture down from the shore this weekend.
Sweet, very nice.
There you go.
Absolutely.
All right, put it up on social media and tag us. This is for Utah. All right, Brett. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Beach tags. I'll never get that, man. Paying to go to the beach. I grew up in California. The beach is free. I don't get it.
It's worth it, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get it. I mean, I love the beach. I just had a chance to do a little beach time in Oregon, and the water's too cold and all that, but it still smells great and looks great and sounds great. And yeah.
Yeah, the Atlantic is never too cold. It's always funny when we get those guys from back there, and they on Utah of all places.
Utah, what? What? All right, reacting to what Brett just said, we will do that next. He dropped a few nuggets, confirmed some of what we thought, and also brings up some of the problems of these massive leagues, which apparently we're stuck with for the foreseeable future. We'll get to that next. Stay with us.
They've been doing it for a while.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
I think the Jazz want to make the playoffs this year, and they really have no motivation for not making the playoffs this year because their draft pick goes to the Memphis Grizzlies in the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade. How motivated are the Jazz actually going to feel to maximize the win total of this roster using all the assets available to them to get there? My guess is it's actually not as high as fans would think because they don't have to do anything exactly right.
The truth is they are dedicated to it, but that doesn't mean they have to do anything about it right now.
Sure.
But no, not one person in that building, if you went up to them and said, hey, is the Bosnian Beak your answer at center? Not one of them is going to say yes.
Right. Or Jackson Hayes.
Or any of that. No, they're not. Yeah. So, yes, they do need to address the problem, for sure. Do they need to address it right now?
I don't think so.
Absolutely not. No, why would they?
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Brett Ciancia just joined us from Pick 6 Previews, talking Big 12 football. Oklahoma State, great story, PK. We love the stories, the coaching staff, and a big chunk of the offense coming over from North Texas. Who could they upset? How could they impact the race? Could they pull off a shocker? Well, they don't play Utah and BYU, so we'll just be watching them from a distance. These massive leagues with 16, 17, 18 teams, whatever. You just got to get used to not playing almost half the league, and both the Utes and Cougars are missing them. Could be an intriguing story this year.
Well, I think it will be. I don't think could. I think it absolutely will be.
NFL quarterback Mestemaker is going to get drafted.
Well, he's high on all sorts of lists. You can check that out for yourself if you want. But the thing about it too, and it's not necessarily that they rack up the wins, is that you play teams tough. See what you could do in the WAC and Mountain West when you were BYU and Utah, once Utah got it going on, is that most of the games you knew you were going to win, right? So you can take guys out. They don't have to play the entire time. They can literally sit out the second half. Or if somebody is banged up a little bit, you can sit them for a week and let them get healthy. Well, a team like Oklahoma State, I don't know necessarily, though, that you can do that. And so they may not win the game, but they extend you, and guys get bumps and bruises and get injured later in terms of the game, when if they'd be playing a cream puff, they would have an opportunity to rest. So you just don't look at the record and see, oh, wow, this team's good or bad. They're going to be improved. There's no question about it. Now, can they win how many games? That remains to be seen. And I think that's what you get a lot with this conference in particular, which is why Brett said the same thing I've been saying about Houston. You do not go out there and win a bunch of one-score games 2 years in a row. It normally doesn't work that way. That's why I had the Devils last year not being as good. Now, obviously, they had injuries, and so that added to it. But even still, I thought they were going to drop a peg or two because they won a ton of close games the year before. And that normally shakes out. And so that's why I'm not disrespecting Houston. It's just that I don't know that they're going to be necessarily, wow, what happened with Houston? They didn't really build on that. They're going to be good. There's no question about it. But when you win a bunch of one-score games, things tend to even out a little bit.
And ASU was good enough along the way to beat Texas Tech and give them their only loss in the 12-game regular season.
Yeah, when they had their guys.
Yeah. Be healthy that week.
Yeah.
And take somebody down.
Sure.
And I do wonder, listening to Brett, and it's interesting because he's in Pennsylvania. He vacations at your favorite beaches. And so he's not in the middle of all this. He's not emotionally involved. But he really did take the three and set them apart. Now, it's easy for us to say that, but, do we want to say that? Because we got two of the teams right here, and that means a great race and great stories into the last month of the season and all that kind of stuff. And he's sitting over there, and he's like, yeah, those are the three. And then you try to figure out who's going to rise up. So these 36 games they play, obviously they got to lose one because BYU plays Utah. But Texas Tech doesn't play any other. And I assume Notre Dame is going to be there's probably a line out already. If there aren't, there will be soon. Notre Dame will probably be a favorite against BYU, maybe a pretty healthy favorite. But beyond that, could they go combine 33-3, 34-2? Can they set it up so their records are so good they can't be ignored, and you get multiple teams in and out of the league for the first time?
Well, their records were so good last year.
They were pretty good, man. They were 22-2 going into that last game, and it didn't work.
No consideration.
Nope.
And BYU did a little bit.
Yeah, the three of them combined would have been 32-4 last year. And that wasn't good enough. But this year, with Texas Tech not playing BYU and not playing Utah, the numbers could be even more outrageous.
You're saying they could be astounding?
I thought about saying that, but I thought I'd stay away from triggering that because Yock's already told us to go to break.
It's just that now with those things that you point out, the expectation level is, well, you better do it.
Yeah, I get it. And I think there's a lot of that built into the non-conference season because Texas Tech does not have an interesting non-conference game. And multiple teams in the league don't. They don't play a Power 4 team. You play one, but it's Arkansas, and it turns out Arkansas is coming in off a 2-10 season. So it's not like there's a lot of hype around that.
Right.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up, Kelly Papinga, BYU defensive coordinator. A conversation with him at 9 o'clock. It's an RSL Thursday. Got tickets to give away later this hour. Stick around. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.